All right, welcome back for another deep dive. This time, you guys really wanted us to dig into Shakespeare Hamlet. I mean, everybody knows the basics.
The Spark Notes version, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this time you want to go a little deeper, right? And we've got a pretty good stack of stuff to pull from here.
Yeah.
A nice, concise overview, a good plot summary, some stuff on the major themes, and even some of the big shocking moments.
Right.
The stuff that keeps people coming back to it, I guess, over the centuries.
It really is interesting how, I mean, Hamlet, it's both, this revenge thriller,
Yeah.
but it's also this like deep look at what it means to be human.
Yeah.
It's like Shakespeare sort of knew that we'd still be like obsessed with this kind of psychological drama like centuries later,
That's so true. Okay, so Act 1. Let's dive in.
Yeah.
We're dropped right into Elsinore Castle.
We're into it.
Prince Hamlet is just, like, drowning in grief
Yeah.
over his father's death. And then to make it even worse, his uncle Claudius just, like, swoops in,
Yeah.
marries Hamlet's mother, Gertrude, and just takes the throne.
Oh, it's a total power move. Yeah.
How about that?
It's unsettling right away, It's not even just like personal grief. You've got to think about the audience, right? Back then,
Right.
this idea of like rightful succession and the divine right of kings and all of that.
Right.
So to have somebody just come in and grab power like that,
Yeah.
that would have been like a huge red flag.
Yeah.
And that sets the stage for just all this craziness.
Yeah, it's like a disruption of, like, the natural order.
Totally.
And then, as if things weren't dramatic enough already,
Right.
we get the ghost.
Yeah.
The ghost of Hamlet's father.
Oh, yeah. Enter the ghost.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And he just, like, drops his bomb.
Yeah.
Claudius murdered him.
Yeah.
And demands Hamlet avenge his death.
I was reading this late last night. I literally gasped.
Right.
I mean, come on, such a good hook.
It's so good.
Brings in the supernatural. Yeah.
Back then, they ate that up,
Totally.
But it also, it creates this, like, moral dilemma for Hamlet.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a philosopher. He's a scholar,
Yeah.
How's he going to, like, go out and do this revenge thing?
Yeah.
And then how's he even going to prove it happened,
Right.
without talking about, like, seeing a ghost?
Yeah. So then we move right into Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
Hamlet starts acting super strange, right?
Yeah.
He's putting on what he calls an antic disposition.
Right.
He's pretending to be mad.
Yeah, it's unsettling and interesting at the same time.
He is. You never know what's real with him.
Exactly. And for him, it's like this this way to throw people off,
Yeah.
buy him some time to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
But for the audience, it really makes you think about
Yeah.
that whole appearance versus reality thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like, is he really losing it?
Yeah.
Or is it all just an act? Yeah, and how does that play into the whole atmosphere? Like at Elsinore,
Right.
All the suspicion, the deception, all of that.
Like this undercurrent of, like, you can't trust anybody.
Yeah. And then in Act 2, we also meet some other, like, key players.
We
right?
do, like Polonius, the king's advisor.
Yeah.
Always scheming.
Always eavesdropping. I mean, come on.
Right. And then his daughter, Ophelia,
Yeah.
tragic love triangle with Hamlet.
Yeah.
Oh, and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern,
Oh, those guys.
Hamlet's friends,
Supposedly.
who were actually spying for Claudius.
Yeah, like everybody's got a mask on, right?
Yeah. It's like a world of courtly intrigue.
Oh, it totally is. Appearances are everything, and he
Yeah.
can't trust anybody.
No.
I mean, Polonius, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, poster child for that whole thing.
Uh-huh.
So obsessed with appearances. All
Yeah.
this meddling. Remember his advice to Laertes?
Yeah.
To thine own self be true? I mean, you think about how deceitful he is.
It's so ironic.
It's like, come on, man. Are you kidding me?
I know, right? And speaking of irony, we get to Act 3.
All right.
Maybe the most famous scene in the whole play.
The mousetrap.
Yeah. Hamlet, he's not just sitting around.
No.
He comes up with this plan.
Yeah.
Expose Claudius.
It's brilliant.
Right.
He stages a play
Yeah.
that basically mirrors the murder.
Yeah.
And he figures if Claudius is guilty,
Yeah.
he's going to react and we'll know.
Like his true nature will come out.
Yeah, it's like he's using art as a weapon
That's such a good way to put it.
to like reveal the truth,
Yeah. And he's right.
Totally.
Claudius completely loses it.
Yeah,
And that gives Hamlet the confirmation he needed.
there it is.
But then, in a moment of rage,
Yeah.
Hamlet accidentally kills Polonius,
Oh.
thinking it's Claudius behind a curtain.
Oh, no.
Talk about a turning point.
Talk about things getting out of control.
I know, right? You see how revenge can just take over.
Yeah. It adds this whole other level to, like, the justice and revenge theme, right?
Right.
Like, can any act of revenge really be pure,
Yeah.
or will it always lead to, like, more suffering?
More pain.
Yeah. I mean, here's Hamlet trying to get justice for his dad,
Yeah.
but he ends up being the one doing something unjust.
It's so morally ambiguous.
That's what makes this play so thought-provoking, you know?
It really is.
It really is.
Oh.
Yeah, that idea of, like, unintended consequences.
Oh,
It really hangs over the rest of the play.
Yeah.
And then Act 4, that's where we see, like, the fallout from all of this.
it is. It's rough. It's like the most emotionally intense part.
Oh, yeah.
Ophelia, she's lost her father.
Yeah.
She's just devastated by Hamlet rejecting her and
Yeah.
all his weird behavior,
Yeah.
her going mad. It's just
It's so
so tragic, especially because
Yeah.
everybody around her is either using her or they just don't even see her pain.
Right. Like, she's a victim of this whole
Totally.
power struggle.
Yeah.
And whether she dies accidentally or by suicide, it really brings up that whole treatment of women back then,
Right.
Like, they were just pawns in these men's games.
Yeah. And then there's Claudius.
Oh, Claudius.
Always one step ahead, trying to get rid of Hamlet once and for all.
Always scheming, right.
Sends him off to England with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Yeah.
With those sealed orders for Hamlet's execution.
I mean, come on, how ruthless can you get?
I know, right?
But, Claudius, he's like a master manipulator.
Totally.
Driven by ambition, by fear,
Yeah.
just trying to hold on to power no matter what.
Yeah.
But this whole thing with England, it shows how smart Hamlet is too, right?
Oh, yeah.
He manages to escape.
He outsmarts Claudius again.
Outmaneuvers him.
Yeah, it's like a chess game.
Totally.
With the stakes just getting higher and higher.
Yeah, and you just know it's not going to end well for anybody.
Oh, no. And then Act 5.
Act 5, yeah.
It's pure Shakespearean tragedy.
Pure tragedy. It opens with that scene in the graveyard
Oh, yeah.
where Hamlet's holding Yorick's skull.
Oh, my gosh. Yes,
I mean, come on. One of the most famous images in all of literature.
it is.
And it just forces him to confront, like, death.
Yeah.
The fact that we all decay.
It's heavy.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like this pause
Yeah,
before everything just blows up.
Yeah, it makes you think about, like, what's the meaning of life and death? And
Yeah. And then, boom.
here comes Ophelia's brother, Laertes,
Laertes is back.
filled with rage, wants revenge.
Oh, yeah. He blames Hamlet for everything.
Of course.
For his father's death, for his sister's death.
And then Claudius sees his opportunity,
Oh, yeah.
right? He's like, let's use Laertes
Yeah.
to get rid of Hamlet.
Let's have a fencing match.
Yeah, but of course,
Of course.
he's got a plan.
Always got a plan.
A sinister plan.
Sinister. The fencing match, it really becomes like a symbol for everything, right?
Yeah.
It's a performance.
Like the mousetrap.
Like the mousetrap. Exactly.
But the stakes are way higher this time.
Way higher. I mean, life or death.
Thinks Claudius has rigged it?
Oh, yeah. He's poisoned Laertes' sword.
No way.
So even a scratch
Oh.
will kill Hamlet.
And then to be extra sure.
To be extra sure, he's got that poisoned cup of wine, too.
Oh my gosh.
Just in case.
He's willing to sacrifice anyone.
To stay in power.
It's not even just power, though, right?
Right.
You sense this fear in him.
Yeah.
Like he's constantly looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, like he knows what he did was wrong.
Yeah, the guilt is eating him alive.
So how does this duel actually go down?
Well, it's chaos.
Yeah.
Lots of tension. Hamlet, at first, he doesn't know about the poison.
Right.
He's fighting, like he always does.
Yeah.
But then he gets wounded by Laertes.
I don't know.
And then in the fighting, somehow the swords get switched.
Yeah, so now Laertes gets stabbed with the poisoned sword, too.
Oh my gosh, they're both poisoned.
Both poisoned.
Talk about a domino effect of tragedy.
Oh, no, right.
So what about Claudius? Does he get away with it?
No, his plan backfires big time. Remember that poison wine?
Yeah.
Gertrude, she sees Hamlet winning.
Uh-huh.
She wants to toast him.
Oh, no.
And she drinks from the poisoned cup.
She accidentally poisons herself.
Yeah, it's another layer of,
My gosh.
unintended consequences, right?
This is crazy.
She becomes another one of Claudius's victims.
That's so sad.
And her dying right there in front of Hamlet.
Yeah.
That's what makes him realize, how truly evil Claudius is.
Yeah.
And then Laertes, he's dying too.
Yeah.
And he feels so guilty. He confesses everything to Hamlet.
Wow.
Tells him about the poison, the sword, the wine,
Right.
begs for forgiveness.
That's so powerful.
It is, he finally sees what he's been a part of.
Yeah.
And he wants to make things right,
Yeah.
but it's too late.
So what does Hamlet do?
Well, he's furious.
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the betrayal he's been through.
Yeah.
He takes that poisoned sword
Uh-huh.
and he kills Claudius.
Wow.
Finally gets his revenge.
But he's dying too.
But he's dying too.
It's such a tragic ending for so many of them.
It is. You can just imagine what it must have been like to see this on stage.
I know, right?
Oh,
The sword fight,
this poisoning.
the revelations.
The debts.
It's just like a whirlwind.
the whirlwind of emotion.
Yeah. So what happens to Hamlet in his final moments? Does he die alone? I mean, it's almost overwhelming. All that loss, all that bloodshed.
Right.
It really makes you think, like, does anybody actually win in the end?
That's what's so great about Shakespeare.
Yeah.
He doesn't give you easy answers, you
Right,
know.
right.
There's no clear-cut hero or villain.
Yeah.
And in Hamlet's last moments, he's with Horatio, his friend, his loyal friend, and he tells Horatio,
Yeah.
you got to tell my story, you know,
Yeah.
the truth about what happened at Elsinore.
Right.
Make sure everybody knows.
Oh.
And then he dies.
Oh, man. There's something almost like noble about that. You know,
Yeah.
making sure that his story gets told.
Right.
His version of events, you know.
And it makes you think about
Yeah.
whose perspective are we getting, right?
Right.
History is written by the winners.
Yeah.
And now Horatio has to decide how Hamlet's going to be remembered.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, it shows that even in death, these characters, they still have this impact on each other
Yeah.
and on the people around them.
Yeah. And it makes us think about,
Yeah.
as an audience,
Yeah.
how do we interpret stories? How do we decide who's right and wrong?
Right.
And how much do our own, opinions and stuff affect that?
Totally.
Man, we've covered so much,
You know.
but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this play.
Yeah.
It's just so much more than just, a revenge story.
Yeah.
It's this whole philosophical look at all these, like, huge themes.
Huge themes that are still relevant today, right?
Really, like revenge. you know.
Yeah.
It drives the whole plot.
Yeah.
But Shakespeare shows how it can be like a double-edged sword.
Yeah. It consumes Hamlet.
Yeah.
And it leads to so much destruction.
So much death.
Yeah, and you really start to wonder,
Yeah.
is revenge ever really worth it?
Right. And then you've got the whole madness thing. Is Hamlet really losing it?
Yeah.
Or is it all an act? It
Yeah.
makes you question, like, what's real
Totally.
and what's not.
And then Ophelia,
Yeah. Oh,
she's a victim.
Oh, totally.
All these men manipulating her, betraying her.
And it just makes you think about
Yeah.
what it was like to be a woman back then,
Right.
under all that pressure.
Yeah.
The grief, the loss.
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
And then the whole play is full of these moments where you're like,
Yeah.
wait, who's using who?
Right.
Who's telling the truth?
Yeah. It's like Shakespeare is constantly reminding us.
Right.
You can't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. Appearances can be so deceiving.
Exactly.
It's never that simple,
It really makes you realize that, Hamlet,
Yeah.
it's not just about kings and princes and all that.
Right.
It's about all of us.
It's about human nature.
Yeah.
The good and the bad.
Yeah.
All the messiness.
And the fact that this play still speaks to us today,
I know, right?
centuries later.
Centuries later.
That's what makes Shakespeare so incredible.
He was a genius.
Yeah, he was.
And I think one of the reasons it's still so powerful is that it makes us think about our own mortality. That scene in the graveyard
Oh, yeah.
with Yorick's skull.
That's haunting.
It's haunting, right?
Yeah.
It's a reminder that life is short.
Yeah.
And in the end, we all end up the same way.
It gives me chills.
Me too.
Just thinking about it. It makes you think about what really matters. you know,
Yeah.
How we spend our time.
How we live our lives.
Yeah.
And then the setting itself,
Elsinore
Elsinore Castle,
Yeah.
with its darkness, the secrets.
Yeah.
It becomes more than just a setting,
Right. It's like this character.
Yeah, it's like this symbol of
Yeah.
the corruption, the decay at the heart of everything.
Like the walls are closing in on everybody.
Exactly.
And then Shakespeare's language.
Oh, yeah.
The way he uses words.
The imagery, the metaphors. It's just
amazing.
so masterful.
So many quotable lines.
I know, right?
That have become part of our everyday speech. You know?
Yeah.
Even people who haven't read the play,
Yeah.
they know these lines.
I know. Like, to be or not to be,
Yeah.
neither a borrower nor a lender be.
Alas, Poor Yorick.
Yeah. It's like,
It shows you how much Shakespeare's words have
yes,
become part of our culture, you know?
it's incredible. And that's what makes great literature, right?
Totally.
It goes beyond its own time.
It transcends time, yeah.
Yeah. Speaks to us across